A snapshot of Maryland, from Governor Wes Moore's favorability to voters' trust in Washington. A recent UMBC poll is sharing what's on Marylanders' minds. We're joined this morning by Director of UMBC's Institute of Politics, Dr. Malia Cromer. Plus, advocates already sounded the alarm in Annapolis. Maryland's proposed budget could cut a truly life-saving lifeline, the effort to preserve the state's behavioral health funding. And hello, everyone. I'm Jason Newton. Welcome to 11 TV Hill. The shortfalls facing Maryland's budget are known. What's under debate in Annapolis is how to solve them. Governor Wes Moore this past week tried to sell his budget to House lawmakers. The plan includes overhauling Maryland's tax code, adjusting education spending, and fee increases. Testimony revealed the ideas have some divide along party lines.
Under some aspects of your proposal, their taxes would go up. And I'm kind of getting a sense from you, is that crucial to your budget plan to raise their taxes?
I am eager to work with you and work with this entire body to ensure that the guidelines that we laid out are all going to be achieved, that we can give middle-class families a tax cut in the state, that we can make Maryland more economically competitive for our businesses to be able to come and grow and thrive here.
So can you tell us what the difference is really in what the feds are doing and what the state government's doing to our county governments?
What this budget does, it offers additional opportunities for our counties to have more jurisdictional authority.
And UMBC's Institute of Politics poll takes a deeper dive into Marylanders' mindset about where they live, where they work, and how to raise a family here. It shows a snapshot of the issues of most importance and the direction some want the state to head. And joining us now is the Institute's director, Dr. Malia Cromer. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I mean, this is becoming easy for you to do the polls now. Now you're taking, at least to us reading it.
It's been a while.
Tell me about the governor right now. Of course, along party lines, Democrats love him, about 80%, but about 52% approval right now, yeah?
That's right. So he's sitting at about a 52% approval rating, 40% disapprove. If you look back at our last UMBC poll that we took at the end of September, he was sitting at about a 54% approval rating. So there hasn't been a huge adjustment there. But you're correct. He's very popular among his Democratic base. Where he's not as popular is among Republicans, and he's taken a slight hit among independents from that September UMBC poll.
It's not exactly easy time to govern between budget issues and whatever you're up against in D.C., and I think that showed in the poll as well.
I think you're absolutely right. There's two things, I think two big statewide indicators that are going on. Folks are really divided on the direction of the state, and then 67% of Marylanders have only a poor or fair view of the current state of the Maryland economy, and those things tend to pull a governor's approval rating down.
Yeah, and what doesn't change is things that concern people. I'll run through the top three. I think crime, education, and health. And that doesn't really change, but I guess the percentage to which you care changes each time.
Yeah, so I think what's been really interesting over the last couple of years, you see crime and public safety continue to be a top priority that Marylanders want to see their state government address. And when you sort of go on down the line, what you also come across is the cost of household energy bills. And that has been a big topic of the conversation in Annapolis, and it shows up on our poll as one of those top issues.
We're going to get to that in a bit. I want to talk to you about Washington for a second, though, because that number is staggering. 76% show no trust in the government there.
There's certainly widespread frustration and distrust among Marylanders about the federal government. If you compare it to the state government, now the state government isn't broadly trusted either, but it's certainly more trusted than the federal government to do what's sort of quote unquote right in the eyes of Marylanders. I think certainly we followed up and we asked Marylanders about the impact of this drastic reduction of the federal workforce. As we know, there's a ton of federal workers here in Maryland. Our economy is very closely tied to the federal government because of that. 61% of Marylanders indicated that it will have a negative impact on the state.
Sure, and then you're talking about that negative impact, and they talk about the trust as well. For 56% of trust in Maryland, what do you think of that number? I mean, is that mid-range? I suppose. I guess we'd like it to be better.
So what we've seen over the last decade is certainly a decline in trust towards our institutions, and so it's a number that's staggering. It sticks out like you don't want it to be like that, but it's not something that is sort of out of whack with the trends we have seen sort of nationwide when you ask this question about trust in federal government or state government over the last 10 years.
We led with budgeting there, the piece before we got to you. What do Marylanders think so far about this process? The governor came out with his own idea. I think the blueprint is going to get a bit of a hit in some other things as well. What do Marylanders think of that?
Right, so we gave Marylanders three basic options, and so you can address the budget in one of three ways. Basically, you either cut mostly spending and government programs, you increase taxes, or you do a little bit of both. A plurality of Marylanders would like to see folks do a little bit of both. So maybe perhaps raise some taxes and fees.
Sure.
Some, that's the key one,
Sure.
and it certainly depends on which ones. And then cut some government programs and services to right-size that budget. But around more than a third of Marylanders say, no, we only want to see cuts. We don't want to see any tax increases.
How does the process work for you guys when you go out to do this polling?
Oh, so we call a random sample of Marylanders that are stratified by county to ensure that every geographic region gets an opportunity to respond to the poll. We do both cell phones and landlines. Frankly, landlines are starting to disappear.
The three people that have it.
Yeah, and so for the most part now we're pulling mostly cell phones, and we do a thing called text to web now.
Okay.
So if you receive a text message from us sometime in the future that says, take the UMBC poll, it's coming from us.
Okay.